Greg LeMond's incredible time trial victory at the 1989 Tour de France heralded a new era of aerodynamics in cycling. And when Chris Boardman stormed to individual pursuit gold at the 1992 Olympics, there was no denying that cycling had changed forever as the sport adopted a scientific approach. One of the many current riders always looking to embrace new technologies is Mate Mohoric. The Slovenian's ingenious use of the dropper post helped him descend the Poggio that bit quicker than his rivals and secure victory at Milan-San Remo in 2022.
Obviously, the tech has evolved significantly over the past few years, especially between the last generation of bikes with already carbon wheels, super lightweight and tubular tires, compared to modern bikes, is a huge performance gap. It's an interesting thing to see and explains why the speeds in the peloton has raised so much in the past few seasons. I think the single component that has made the biggest difference in the last 10 years was definitely the tires. Tubeless system sliced the rolling resistance in half, especially when you sit in the wheels. The difference is more than 15 watts per tire, so it's a very significant improvement, especially when all the riders use the technology.
Mate's team, Bahrain victorious, decided to find out what had changed over the past 35 years, with former Paris-Roubaix winner Sonny Colbrelli and their aero and material consultant Martin Toff Madsen.
So basically we hope to find the differences between older bike back to like 33, 34 years old bikes and comparing them to newer bikes. We go back and forth on this road, which is not completely flat, but pretty flat. We do that 3-4 times-ish with each bike, and then I put the numbers into my sheet here on my computer, where I account for different things like temperature and speed differences. And then at the end of the day, we have a number for each bike on how much power is required to go a certain speed.
Now I'm ready. Look, I like I can push 30 years ago, no?
The first bike to be tested is a 1989 Team Carrera, as ridden by Claudio Chiappucci.
But it's difficult so with
the position is not nice. I think all the others are better, right?
Yeah, for sure this is better.
The first bike was maybe a little slower actually than I expected.
It's completely different, the underbar, so the brake. I speak before with the mechanic, he's imagine with the Paris-Roubaix, no? With this bike, it's completely crazy.
Next up is the bike that Gilberto Simoni used to win the 2003 Giro D'Italia.
Ah, it's better this, eh?
The Seiko Cannondale.
The oldest and next oldest was almost the same. Interestingly enough, I thought there would be the newer one would be a little quicker, but didn't turn out like that.
The third bike in the test is Movistar's Pinarello Dogma, 65.1.
After first bike, second bike, this bike is completely different. It's fast.
I think it was roughly 20 watts, 40 kilometers per hour faster, so really taking a step from around 2000 and then a decade on, it's become faster for sure. So the wheels were getting aero by then, but the frames were maybe just around starting.
After this bike, I tried Merida, for sure it's super fast.
The final bike under the spotlight is Bahrain Victorious's current team edition Merida, the Sculptura.
That was almost 30 watts faster than the Pinarello, so we're talking about 50 watts faster at 40 kilometers per hour than the older bike from 2 and 3 decades ago. So yeah, that was really significant step up.
The last two bikes completely different, also position, also faster. It's another bike, no?
I was expecting maybe a little more difference between 89 bike and the 2004 bikes, and then smaller differences from there on, but it was kind of the opposite with no gain during the 90s, it seems, and then the big gains in the last 15 years.
For Bahrain Victorious, research and development never stops as they compete off the road to make sure their setup is among the best in the peloton.
This is one of the things you need to do all the year. Most of the job we do before the season, so during the winter, positioning, testing wheels, testing this, testing that, materials, clothing, everything. You spend a lot of money investing in new product, because if you just follow the rest, you're always 1 year behind, no?
After putting the bikes through their paces on the flat, the team decided to give Sonny some more work, this time on a climb.
We have 800-900 meters of climbing at around 7% grade, and we'll see how much difference there is between these different bikes from different eras.
As in the previous test, Sonny rode each bike up the short climb to a fixed power target. Again, first up was the Carrera.
100% respect for this rider, because this bike also without helmet is crazy. It's crazy.
The slower speeds in gravity meant that weight, not aerodynamics and rolling resistance, was the deciding factor.
The biggest result is actually that we see most difference at the start of the era, so to speak. So for the first 3 bikes, there are actually quite a big difference, bigger than I would have thought. And then the gains sort of level off a bit in the last decade. The difference between the Carrera bike from '89, you go around 17 kilometers per hour on this road, 7% gradient today, whereas with the same power you go around 19 kilometers per hour on the Sculptura, so it's the newest bike. It makes sense that in the 90s and 2000 they focused a lot on weight and stiffness, which helps a lot on the climb. And then the last decade they focused more on aerodynamics, which helps more on the flat.
Despite the diminishing gains when it comes to climbing, the huge leaps forward in aero design and rolling resistance have propelled the peloton to new speeds as the battle between teams continues on and off the road.